with Hollywood-like scenes and a military parade. Iran slaps Trump twice in one day. An economic shock by receiving the first installment of the fees. Its passage was official, and a military slap by seizing ships in broad daylight. The question everyone is avoiding today is, if Trump controls the Hormuz Strait, as he claims and as some allege, then why are ships today paying fees to Iran and not to America? Where have the American legends disappeared? Why is Trump now begging for a fake victory? Why is America in trouble and doesn't want the war to return stronger? These are all questions we will answer today. But after this break, stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings, and welcome to our renewed meeting today, God willing, in this episode of the Opinion Series, which we always dedicate to following the latest developments in this conflict in the Middle East between Iran and the Epstein Alliance. After this absence, we return again, dear viewers, after I have perhaps started to somewhat regain my voice. I hope I can meet your expectations. Today there are exciting developments happening because yesterday, dear viewers, there was a major insult directed at America and especially at President Trump, because these developments particularly reveal Trump's lies. Iran has practically proven how it has complete control over the Strait of Hormuz, how it truly holds all the reins in this strait today. The first event is that Iran has officially started collecting fees for the first time from every ship allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and this is done precisely by depositing these fees in the Iranian central bank. This event has very significant implications. Why? Because it actually proves how Iran is the only party that controls and regulates passage through the most important waterway in the world, the Strait of Hormuz. Because when these ships pay fees and deposit them in this Iranian central bank, this is considered an acknowledgement by these ships that Iran is the one controlling the strait, not Trump as he claims. This gives a real impression of how all commercial ships are willing to pay fees to Iran. The only thing that matters to them is to pass safely, and if Iran is not the one controlling the strait, then why would these ships pay fees to Iran? Why? This operation was a major blow to Trump, despite all the threats made by Trump, and despite all the threats that also came from European Commission leaders like Kaja Kallas and others. Despite all this, today Iran has started receiving fees from these ships. This was the first blow Trump took on this front. The second blow, dear viewers, is that Iran's control over the Strait of Hormuz was proven not only from the financial or economic side, but also from the military side. When the Iranian Navy seized two ships yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a Greek ship and a Panamanian ship, and maybe you haven't heard, there are other ships that were seized today, ships that did not get permission from Iran to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. So they were seized, they were intercepted and detained. So Iran's blow wasn't just about seizing these ships, but also about displaying military power. Iran filmed this operation, the seizure of these ships, in a Hollywood-style manner, with mounted cameras and armed forces. So that was like a set of strong messages, clear messages that came from Iran. First, no one crosses the Strait of Hormuz without Iran's approval, without direct coordination with Iran. And second, this was from the Iranian naval forces, which Trump claimed he had completely eliminated. And third, this time it wasn't by striking the ships, meaning using suicide drones or missiles. It was by seizing these ships, using naval boats and naval forces with high professionalism, as these videos show, and in broad daylight. So this made it clear to everyone, where are the American forces that Trump claims control the Strait of Hormuz? How can the Iranian naval forces carry out these missions in broad daylight and with such strength? And with this show of force, they seize a ship and lead it to one of the Iranian ports? Where are the American forces here? This actually confirms how Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz in a real and clear way. And not like Trump comes out every day to say that he is the one who closes the Strait of Hormuz, or that he is the one who controls the Strait of Hormuz, as he says today. The American forces today can't even approach the Strait of Hormuz, let alone force their way into it or pass through it. So this development was really a major blow that Trump received, honestly. That's why he came out today to say that he gave orders to strike any Iranian boat that plants mines in the Strait of Hormuz. But to be fair, the truth is he gave orders to strike any boat present in the Strait of Hormuz, so that such operations don't happen again, like Iran seizing ships. That's what Trump means. So he can find a pretext that he thinks might help him avoid a return to war. He wants to strike these boats under the pretext that they are planting naval mines, because he absolutely does not want the war to return again. If a naval boat is bombed, that boat was heading toward the seized ship. Iran might respond in. Trump is very afraid today of a return to war, because Iran gave him a lesson he will never forget. A return to war is absolutely not in his interest, nor is it in America's interest. More generally, America is in real trouble today because of Trump. Therefore, what everyone needs to realize today is that this truce we are experiencing now is in Iran's favor, not in America's favor, and not in the Epstein Alliance's favor. Why do I say this? And pay close attention to what I'm about to say. Iran now, after this truce, is getting its affairs in order, reanalyzing the results of 40 days of war and reassessing this experience. How was it? How were the missile strikes? How is the overall military situation reshaping military strategy today? It is replenishing its military stockpile, meaning it is redeploying missile launch platforms. Perhaps even renewing this stockpile with missiles that are possibly more powerful and more effective. I mean, after this experience that it went through for 40 days on the ground. But when we talk about the Epstein Alliance in general, what is the prevailing thought today? That this alliance is also reshuffling its cards by sending new radars to the region, radars that Epstein destroyed. Iran, by resending the interceptor missiles that were depleted from the region, is basically renewing the American stockpile of missiles in the area. This is the prevailing thought today. But the reality is something completely different. First, for America to rebuild the radars and defense systems in the Middle East, it will need to bring them from other parts of the world where the American military is deployed, maybe from Europe, maybe from the Indian Ocean region, maybe from the Pacific region. This would amount to strategic suicide for American military capabilities, because moving this stockpile from other regions would threaten American interests in those areas. It would only make them vulnerable to being drained again along the way. From Iran's perspective, any continuation of the war for more weeks means even greater and greater depletion of American military capabilities. Then also, when these radars that Iran destroyed in this war are rebuilt, along with the defensive systems and so on, will that be worthwhile for America or for the Epstein coalition in general? Not at all. This will only give Iran more targets, new ready-made targets to strike with missiles and drones. These American military bases in the region today have become America's biggest burden, because what neither Trump nor any of the global intelligence agencies expected was that Iran's response in this war would be in the way we have witnessed. By striking and targeting these military bases located in Gulf countries, they believed that these American military bases would remain safe because Iran would not be able to strike them, so as not to provoke the anger of these countries like the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and so on. So Iran surprised them all, surprised them when it struck these bases, and even more than that, when it struck them directly. And even while they were hiding in air-conditioned hotel rooms today, America cannot make the same mistake again. It cannot rebuild its military capabilities there in the same way, only for Iran to strike again, only to be exposed to Iranian missiles, only to become easy targets again, clear targets with coordinates available to Iranian forces. So here we conclude that this truce benefits Iran, allowing it to reorganize its forces, while it does not benefit America at all. That's all there is to it. Trump only wanted this truce to stop the attrition, to reach an agreement with Iran. He is unable to continue the war. And here, so we don't forget, there's another point, and we've talked about it. There is an American Congress, and a decision to stop the war is inevitably coming. Time is passing quickly. It's only a matter of days before the decision comes out now. It's been almost 2 months since the start of this war, so Trump will then be obliged to stop the war, no matter the outcome. So now Trump doesn't want the war to return in the way we've known it for the past 40 days. He's taken a different approach, a new strategy. Imposing a naval blockade on Iran, economically strangling Iran. Trump's plan now is to buy time by imposing a naval blockade. He believes that this will weaken Iran internally and create problems and social crises inside Iran. Just like what happened in Venezuela and like what's happening today in Cuba as well. And during this period, what does the naval blockade do? He is waiting for the right opportunity to deliver a decisive blow to Iran, either by provoking protests and thus creating armed internal chaos, or by carrying out a swift, targeted military operation inside Iran. This is exactly Trump's plan now, while he is trying as much as possible not to return to war again. That's why he extended this truce after the agreed upon truce period ended. He extended it, he extended this truce. If America really saw itself as victorious, or truly standing in a position of strength, Trump wouldn't have extended this period. America always speaks the language of power, the language of threats. Fulfill our demands or we'll come for you. That's how it always is, always like that. But in this issue with Iran, in this war, it has reached a dead end politically and militarily. That's why we say that today it is truly experiencing a real predicament, an utterly unprecedented one. Iran is not Venezuela, it's not Cuba, and it's not one of the Arab countries. There is a huge difference. America lost the Vietnam War, even though it didn't lose any of the battles in the context of the Vietnam War. America also, and the Soviet Union also lost in the war in Afghanistan, even though they didn't lose any of the battles either. So today the same thing is happening again with Iran. Why? Because these countries, first of all, have leadership systems. These countries do not fall with the fall of the country's leader, nor do they fall with the fall of political or military leaders. These countries are not built on one person, nor are they built on a single family, like the Gulf countries. These countries are built on an ideology, a strong ideology, an ideology that continues from generation to generation, an ideology that extends from one citizen to another. That's why it's impossible to defeat such countries. It's impossible to overthrow the Iranian regime. It's impossible to bring this country to its knees. That's why America is now only planning how to save face, how to get out of this predicament, with what kind of victory, even if it's imaginary. And the real problem it faced this time is that Iran refuses to grant it any victory, even if it's imaginary. So pay close attention. We've reached a point where America, maybe through intermediaries, maybe through other means, is just asking Iran to grant it any kind of imaginary victory. And how does Iran respond? No, there will be no imaginary victory. President Trump comes out with statements like, Iran is strong, Iran is a great country, Iranians are tough men, we want a partnership with Iran. He also comes out to say that Iran now has a new system, better than the old one, and that we might be able to cooperate with it, and other statements that praise Iran, that praise the current Iranian regime. What everyone needs to know is that such statements do not come randomly. Trump, with these statements, is sending political and diplomatic signals to Iran, and he is waiting for Iran to respond. He is waiting for Iran to come out with similar statements that it is ready to negotiate, just like America or something like that. So these statements would be the beginning, but Iran, on the contrary, comes out with opposing statements. We have conditions that must be met, meaning Iran is showing a great deal of resilience. The Iranians want to completely change the equation today. They want to change the situation in the Middle East region entirely, and they know very well that they are victorious, and they know very well who is in trouble today. And what is the Epstein alliance? He is neither able to continue the war, nor is he able to meet the Iranian conditions. Therefore, we are facing a difficult equation. No one knows exactly how this conflict might end. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Peace be upon you and God's mercy and blessings. See you next time.